Do you guys remember the era of YouTube where your favorite creators would upload favorites videos? I feel like this was such a specific moment in time, but I still remember my pulse quickening and my excitement churning when I would see a creator that I love publish a monthly favorites video. I feel like that is such a moment in time. It was always one of my favorite types of videos to watch and also one of my favorite types of videos to create. You want me to talk about things I love for an hour? Challenge accepted. I do it every week here. So today I'm going to be sharing some of my top summer favorites, from Austen approved beauty products to some of the meals I've been making on rotation lately. Hopefully, this episode gives you some insight into what I've been loving lately and gives you some inspiration for these sweet, precious final weeks of summer that we have coming up, because how is it August already? I'm super excited to dive into some favorites with you today, but before we do that, let's do a little create and consume. If you're new here, this is a segment that we do at the top of every episode. It's inspired by the name of the podcast, of course, but it also correlates to what we actually create and consume each week. Because I feel like as content creators, even just as people with cell phones, we are always taking pictures, sharing things, saving things, even if it's just with friends and family. And if you ever want to share with me what you are creating and consuming, you can send the podcast an email. You can tag us on Instagram. You could leave a comment if you are watching this episode on YouTube. You can leave a comment if you're listening on Spotify. Reach out, get in touch. All of the details are always in the show notes. As far as what I've been creating this week, I actually created something that I don't think I've shared publicly. Or if you watched my latest YouTube video, you may have seen a glimpse of it, but I created it in Canva, and it's actually a workout plan for the month of August. Now, working out is something that I feel like I have discovered later in life, honestly. I played soccer while I grew up in grade school and then in high school. I didn't end up playing on a college team, but I did still do intramural soccer. And then there wasn't really that much of a need for me to work out in my post grad era, just in the sense that I lived and worked in New York City. I was pretty much always on the go, doing 10K steps a day minimum. And then obviously in the last few years, now that we work from home more and ever since getting the Peloton, I've really tried to prioritize working out, being consistent, and doing it to help me feel strong and happy. And I think you also really start to get to know yourself, the type of workouts that you like and the type of workouts that you don't like as much. So having the Peloton app has been a big help for me. The great thing about the Peloton is because it's right here in my living room, I'm able to be consistent, but I kind of felt like I was just, phoning it in with some of my recent workouts. I was still showing up 3 days a week, but I wasn't necessarily hitting time minimums that I had previously hit or trying as hard. Ever since they added YouTube and Netflix to the Peloton, it's been a bit of a struggle. So I decided for the month of August, since I am only away for really one weekend coming up, I just wanted to prioritize getting my workouts in and making sure that they're quality workouts so I can feel good about the time that I'm spending, if I'm taking the time anyway to work out, to make sure that it's a good workout for me. So I made a little schedule on Canva. If you're watching on YouTube, I actually have it with me. You can get a little sneak peek here. But essentially, what I did was put a little emoji of a bike for the days that I want to do my cycling workouts. And I put a little emoji of an apple core for the days that I want to do my core workouts. Which, do I ever really want to do core workouts? No, but I do feel like I've been missing the strength training component from my workouts lately. So I did want to make a point to add that back in for August. So the goal is going to be to do 3 cycling classes and then 1 core class each week for the month of August. And I feel like this is doable. So that's my little summer workout plan, making the most of, the Peloton subscription, which I already pay for, and the fact that the bike is right here. It's a workout I can do in the air conditioning, which is obviously important. And then as far as what I'm consuming this week, I'm curious if any of you guys read this Glamour article. I will link it in the show notes, but it's written by Steph McNeil, who is also the author of Swipe Up for More, which is a book all about influencers. She does quite a bit of pop culture reporting and also creator economy reporting, and she works at Glamour. I believe she's their senior editor now. The article is called The Summer of the Crash Out, and it is really just in reference to the fact that it's been hot. People have been on edge. It kind of seems like in some way everyone is experiencing their own mini quarter life crisis, whatever you want to call it. And this article made me feel very validated as someone who kind of had her own crash out a few weeks ago, where you're just stressed and you feel overwhelmed, and you also feel like there's nothing you as an individual person can do to control bad news out in the world. The article definitely talks to about how politics has become a substantial source of stress for many Americans. And it also goes on to talk about how we can be purposely filling our time with things that are more productive and things that won't send us spiraling. So again, this kind of made me feel very seen this week. I know that the headline is a tiny bit clickbaity, of course, but I will link it in the show notes in case any of you are interested. And it's an interesting tie in with the timing of that article that I am actually taking a social media break this week. So the week I'm recording this, I have removed Instagram and TikTok from my phone. So if you haven't seen me posting over there in the last few days, that's why. And I do feel like doom scrolling has contributed to my feelings of overwhelm in the last few weeks and potentially my crash out a few weeks ago. Just the constant comparison and being bombarded with information that doesn't necessarily need to be feeding into me at every hour of every day. So I'm really hoping by the end of this week, I am feeling more creatively fulfilled. I hope I'm feeling more focused and less distracted. And like I've spent a week really just taking time to be offline and live in the moment. With all of that said, let's dive into today's episode. And I also wanted to mention I already released an episode a few weeks ago that was essentially the summer watch list. So if you're looking for summer favorites or recommendations from me in the arena of movie, TV, books, or music, that is all in the summer watch list episode. So I will be sure to link that one in the show notes in case you didn't get a chance to listen to it, or you want to like add these two episodes together, get your summer watch list, and then get all of your summer essentials sorted. Today we're talking about some of my other favorite categories, including beauty, fashion, food, and things to do, almost like a little mini quickfire summer bucket list towards the end of this episode. So be sure to stick around and listen through for that. But let's start off with summer beauty because I feel like the general vibe for beauty in the summer months remains the same year after year. I want all the skin tints. I want my skin to feel natural, dewy, glowy, and for the most part to look like itself. I'm not really looking for heavy coverage or to cover things up at all. I am more so just looking to enhance my natural features, wear less makeup if possible, and make sure that I am putting my best face forward. So I'll touch on some makeup, skincare, and hair in this little list, but the first product I wanted to talk about is the Milk Hydro Grip Skin Tint. I believe I'm wearing the shade 3, and I'm wearing this today if you're watching on YouTube. Actually, I think I'm wearing a good amount of these, so if you need a visual reference, the YouTube link is always in the show notes too. What I like about this is it comes from the Milk Hydro Grip line, so if you're familiar with the Hydro Grip primer, and they also make an eye primer, this has those similar, what are they even called? Polymers? I know I'm using the wrong word here, but they have that similar grip technology, for lack of a better word, that the other products have to ensure that this stuff is not melting off of your face, even though it is a more lightweight formula than some of their other foundations and base products. Truthfully, I have tried this both with a primer and I've even worn it just over moisturizer on its own, and I feel like it still looks good in both cases. I've also been enjoying applying this with a flat It Cosmetics brush that almost looks like an actual paintbrush. I will try to link that in the show notes as well. Oh my god, I can hear my favorite Hoboken dog walker in the hallway. He always talks to the dogs and has like full on conversations with them. And I know this because I've run into him before and he's like not listening to AirPods or anything. He is fully speaking to the dogs. And he also is always walking like 3 to 4 of them at the time. I actually don't know how dog walkers do it. That is like a very underrated job, I think, especially in a city. Anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, the Milk Hydro Grip Skin Tint. So I have really been liking this one. I also feel like a little bit does go a long way, which is great in terms of getting more bang for your buck with the product and also just embracing that lightweight coverage during the summer months. And another skin tint that I would be remiss not to mention is the It Cosmetics CC Cream, and specifically the Nude Glow variation. So It Cosmetics has very smartly created a few different iterations of their CC cream, which is one of their best selling products. I would argue it's probably the product that they are most known for. So they do have the original. They also have an illumination one. That is if you want like really, really, really dewy skin. But what I like about Nude Glow is it's lightweight, but it still has the coverage there because of the CC cream base. and it just feels glowy without being too overly glittery or shiny. And I feel like the beauty of a skin tint too is it's a little bit shade flexible in the sense that I would say my Milk Hydro Grip one typically would work best for me in the winter months, but I'm wearing such a thin layer of it today for summer that it doesn't look like my face is way too light compared to the rest of my body. So that's what I mean when I say I feel like they're shade flexible. That's obviously like for me speaking from my own experience too, because when I put my Milk product and I put the It Cosmetics product next to it, the It Cosmetics one looks much darker than the Milk one, but I still wear both this time of year depending on the type of look I'm going for and how much coverage I actually need. Another It Cosmetics product that I have to shout out is their sun blushes. Now, I believe these are new as of this year. So this is a cream blush. It comes in a little jar and I use so little of this product. I absolutely love that I can just go in with my fingertips and tap it on my cheeks. I'm wearing it today, again, if you're watching on YouTube. And I have been using the shade Sunlit, I believe. So this has been such a go to easy product for me. I brought it on the cruise, and I feel like it gave me that perfect sun kissed look at the end of the day when I put it on for our dinners. And again, a little goes a long way and it blends out so seamlessly. So if you are new to cream products, this is one that I feel like is very forgiving and easy to work with. Even if you make a mistake, it's super easy to cover up. It goes on such a nice, beautiful wash of color kind of layer. So yeah, I've really been enjoying that one too. Another product to shout out is the CoverGirl eyeshadow sticks. I feel like these kind of are a year-round favorite, but again, during the summer months where you just want something quick, light, and simple, using one product that you can kind of smudge with your finger and do a single wash of color is a great way to still put on eyeshadow in the mornings, but not have to fuss over it and worry about the specific placement and how much you've blended things out. Like it really is easy and on the go, which I love. And I honestly have so many colors of that because the CoverGirl team has always been very generous with their gifting, which I appreciate. But I would say my favorites are basically any of the nude or brown kind of shades that they have. Also wanted to shout out while we're on the CoverGirl topic, the CoverGirl Lash Blast Cleantopia Waterproof Mascara. I believe I mentioned this in last week's episode because it's the mascara that I wore when we went to a waterfall in St. Lucia. And it was a full force waterfall. Like that water was not gentle falling down. And I jumped in it, of course, because you're in St. Lucia next to a waterfall. You have to jump through it. Like it's mandatory. And when I emerged from the waterfall, I took a selfie and my mascara, no flakes, no running, no nothing. It looked absolutely perfect. So this is waterfall approved waterproof mascara if you have been on the hunt for a good one. Okay, another one I want to talk about is the Summer Fridays lip oils. I actually have one right here that I'm wearing right now, and this shade is Rosebud, which I love all the shade names. I love the packaging. I love how heavy it feels and how sleek it looks. Now, Glossier recently came out with something kind of similar to these, and I can't tell if it is them trying to emulate this or not, but as far as I can tell, Summer Fridays did it first. Absolutely loving these lip oils. I already went through one. This is my second one. I was gifted a pack of 4 of them from a YouTube shopping event I went to. It's just one of those products that I received and I was like, oh, okay, let me like keep 2 shades and give away 2 shades. And then as soon as I tried the first one, I was like, let me make sure that I set those aside for myself because actually I could see myself going through all of these colors and actually wearing all of these colors. It's such a subtle wash of color. It's not at all sticky, which I love. So this has definitely skyrocketed to the top of my favorite summer lip product. And I also wanted to mention another product I got from this YouTube event was the e.l.f. Hydrating Primer. And this one has been said to be a dupe of the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. I haven't really done like a side-by-side test comparison, but I have to say, I really do like the e.l.f. one. It has a very similar texture and feel to the Milk Makeup one, and the e.l.f. one is $11. So if you have been wanting to try the Milk one, I would maybe try the e.l.f. one first and see if that is working for you. That's actually one that I skipped today, but like I said, I'm wearing the Milk product, the skin tint, with the grip technology or whatever it is in it. It makes it sound like there's tiny little microchips inside my skin, but all I'm trying to say is it's formulated in the same way to fall into that line or that category line of the Milk Makeup brand. So that's me trying to differentiate that. And believe it or not, I have consumed 2 caffeinated beverages today. So in theory, I should be all here. The brain should be fully working, but you guys know that every once in a while I short circuit during these episodes. So don't mind me. Speaking of caffeine, let's move into skincare. And I wanted to shout out the Versed Brightening Eye Gel with caffeine and vitamin C in it. Now, Versed, I believe, reformulated a bunch of their original products when they changed their packaging and did their little refresh. So I believe I have tried a similar eye gel from them before, but the packaging improvements on this one are really substantial and I love them. So right now it is a screw top in a little tube and it actually has the cooling metal ball on it with the product coming out on the side. So you're just gliding it onto your under eyes. It feels instantly depuffing and cooling, and it also has that vitamin C in there. So that helps with brightening. If you struggle with dark under eye circles, which sometimes I do, sometimes they come out some days and some days you wouldn't know I had them, but I feel like just in general this is such a pleasant way to start my morning. It's something that I have incorporated into my morning skincare routine now, and I absolutely love this one. Now, on mornings where I feel like I need a little something extra, I might skip that one and instead put on my Pixie Beauty eye masks. These come in the little jar. They are the eye masks that actually go on underneath your eyes, and I keep a jar of these in my refrigerator. This feels amazing during the summer months. It just feels so refreshing. They are definitely hydrating as well, and I love that cooling sensation when I first put them on. And I like buying these eye masks in the jar because to me it's just such a better value and there's so much less waste. Like, I really did want to try the Summer Fridays under eye masks, but I just couldn't justify it. It was like $24 to get 6 pairs of the eye masks, and they all came, in those little pouches where you have to rip them off and there's extra plastic and stuff, compared to the Pixie Beauty eye masks are the same price and you get 30 pairs. Like, the math just doesn't make any sense to buy the Summer Fridays ones. And to be quite honest with you guys, I don't really understand the difference with a lot of the eye masks in particular. To me, they're all cooling and refreshing, and I keep them in the fridge, and usually I get a very similar result from them. So go buy the Pixie ones. Next up is a face sunscreen. I have been testing the Elta MD face sunscreen over the last few weeks, and I really feel like this is going to be one of my new holy grail sunscreens right next to the Paula's Choice one, which is my favorite body sunscreen. The Ulta one just goes on so nicely. It's non-greasy. It doesn't have that overpowering sunscreen smell to it, but it still is fragrant in the sense that you're actually putting SPF on your face. And in addition to the regular face sunscreen, I've also been testing the tinted one under makeup, and I really, really like that one too. So shout out to Ulta. I feel like they are definitely a top brand in the sunscreen game. Very random. I last minute decided to throw a fragrance in here, and I think this is saying a lot because I don't really change up my fragrances that often, and I am very picky about what I like when it comes to fragrance, but I have been trying the Quince fragrances, which I didn't even know Quince made fragrances, but this is something new that they have rolled out, I believe, within the last few months. I have the Neroli Soul, I believe it's how it's pronounced, fragrance from Quince, and first of all, it's $50, but it feels very high end. So if you've been in need of a new perfume, but you can't stomach spending like over $100 on a fragrance, I feel like this is such a great price point. And for me, it is just nice to have another one to add into the rotation that really has that kind of scent to it. Because a lot of my fragrances, I would say, are more fall winter geared, and this one still feels pretty fresh and therefore summery in my head. And for hair products, I wanted to shout out this little jar of clear hair elastics that I bought from Amazon. It literally has like 1,000 mini plastic hair elastics in it, and this has been so fun for summer styles. I brought these with me on the cruise because I wanted to try to do some more heatless hairstyles when possible, and they are just the perfect little top off for a half back situation for different braids and things like that. and I want to continue to play around with these to see what kind of summer hairstyles I can come up with. Also, still loving the hair wax stick by Tiggy Bedhead. I bought this on Amazon like 2 years ago, have not run out of it yet, and it is perfect for summer slickbacks. And then lastly, I got my hands on the Eva NYC Hydrating Hair Mask. It comes in a big pink jar. I will make sure all of these products are linked in the show notes to show you exactly what I'm talking about, but I just love a hydrating hair mask during the summer months. I feel like it helps my hair feel really sleek and smooth and lightweight. My only issue with hair masks truly is that I get impatient in the shower. What I need to remember to do is to put the hair mask in like as soon as I step into the tub. And I never ever remember to do that. So then it's always like I'm going through my routine. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, I should do a hair mask. And then it's like, I don't want to stand in here for another 5 minutes. Like, why did I not just do it when I first got in so then I could rinse it out? This is just a me problem, but maybe you can relate. And yeah, so that is it for summer beauty. To move on to fashion, I feel like I've been wearing kind of like three different outfits on repeat. So I'm going to talk about it in that sense. And I really haven't done any shopping this summer for clothing in particular, but I do feel like I would like to ideally get a couple of new things for fall, just a couple of new wardrobe staples. Every once in a while you just get sick of your own closet, you know? And even though I try to shop with the intention that like these are staples that I will have and wear for a long time, sometimes you just feel like you need a bit of a refresh. But on that note, there are really three main types of outfits that I've been living in this summer, so I figured spotlighting those would be good. Number one is essentially the exercise dress or the bike shorts outfit. Now, I did just buy an exercise dress on Amazon with high hopes that it could be something that I wear for Taylor's bachelorette. We're going to have kind of an athleisure themed day as far as outfits go. That'll be coming up in a few weeks. And I got it. I put it on. It actually fits me nicely and everything. And I like the look and shape of it. My issue is with the bike shorts underneath. They kind of ride up a little bit. And I just feel like it doesn't make for the most seamless, comfortable experience. So, still trying to figure that out. I am going to keep that dress because, again, it is cute, but I just wish that there was one that was a bit more comfortable for walking. Like I said, where the bike shorts are not kind of like riding up underneath. Worst case, I do also have a tennis dress from Therese that I might be able to bring as a backup, but I would even look to buy another one if it really became one of those items that I could wear, especially like running errands around Hoboken, because I feel like I could transition that to fall with like some crew socks, draping a sweater around my neck, that kind of thing. The other outfit I've been wearing has been cute top and denim shorts. So that's what I'm wearing today. I know you can't see my shorts if you're watching on YouTube, but I am in fact wearing real shorts because half the time when I record the podcast, I'm just wearing like sweat shorts or spandex shorts. But anyway, the two places that I typically buy denim shorts from are Abercrombie and then Madewell. I feel like the quality is there. I feel like they come with a bit of stretch, and I feel like the sizing makes sense. You know how sometimes you go to a store and you try on something in your usual size and it's so small, and then you're spiraling and having a panic attack, and you're like, wait, maybe this is just the sizing is different in this store. I feel like with Abercrombie and Madewell, I can try on my normal size and it will almost always fit me, which is great. Good for my mental health and good for business. But anyway, Madewell, I think they might also make a full denim version of this, like jeans, where it's called the perfect denim, but whatever it is, the perfect jean shorts, those are my favorite from Madewell. And then for Abercrombie, I like the Curve Love mom shorts. And then the other item that I've really been wearing in just like a couple different variations is a midi dress, and I actually got two from Quince. So again, this YouTube shopping event like truly hooked me up a few months ago. We were able to get a Quince gift card, which was amazing. So that's how I was able to try out a couple of their products, and I got two midi dresses from Quince that I have been wearing basically on repeat. Like I first wore them in Italy, and ever since we got back and throughout August, I've been wearing them as well. So the first dress that I got is a bit more of an empire waist A-line midi dress, and then the second dress that I got has a tiered skirt and a ruched top, and I got that second one in red. Just so comfortable, lightweight, breathable, but I look put together wherever I go. That is the dream summer outfit. And to be able to just throw on a midi dress and call it a day is my preferred activity. Oh, and I did just want to shout out the pair of sandals that I got from Sam Edelman that I bought before the cruise. I did wear them to a bunch of dinners that week, and I thought they were super cute and comfy. Definitely the more elevated sandal option to wear with some of those dresses when we had like a nicer dinner that night on the boat. So that was a purchase that I'm definitely happy about. So that's honestly it for fashion. I am trying to plan ahead and think about maybe doing a fall fashion episode. So I feel like I'll have more insights there for you guys in terms of upcoming trends and kind of key wardrobe staples and things like that. I feel like in the summer, again, unless I'm actually going to a specific event or anything, I just want to be in something lightweight, sweatproof, and something that I can feel good in. So I feel like those three honestly sum it up perfectly. Let's move on to some food that has been on repeat in my kitchen. And I've been really good about cooking at home, you guys, which is not easy for me because, first of all, live in Hoboken. So many, so many delicious, delectable food items that are not only in super close proximity, but could also be ordered at the touch of a button on my phone. Like, that is how easy it is to not cook and just get a pizza delivered or a pasta or whatever it is. However, I have been really diligent about cooking at home. Usually, I cook at home Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday are like my days to eat out, which I think is very fair. And in any week, there's usually one meal also that Andrew will cook somewhere in there, which is always a big help. We usually try to slot it in either on a weekend when he's home or on a rest day, depending on his marathon training, which is really starting to ramp up. He had to run 16 miles this weekend, and I'm like, that's a half marathon. Like, that's even more than a half marathon. And that was just your Sunday run. That is so insane. Anyway, marathon training aside, some things that have just been living rent free in my head, some little recipes that I've been pulling out for the last few weeks. Let's start with shrimp bowls. Now, shrimp bowls might sound kind of random, and honestly, it's three ingredients and it is a little random, but it is actually so satisfying. And I feel like all things considered, it's pretty healthy too. What I'll do is get a big, I believe it's a 1 pound bag of frozen shrimp from ShopRite, and I will rinse them off and then do them on the stovetop. They cook so fast. Like, it's really, really hard to screw up, I promise, as someone who is typically a fade? A fade sounds like I am just diminishing into nothing. As someone who is sometimes afraid of cooking seafood or meat in that kind of sense, shrimp is so hard to mess up because it is going to be done very quickly. Anyway, I'll put some shrimp on a pan on the stove and I'll put in a tiny bit of butter, mostly for flavor. And then, really, though, I'm mostly cooking with olive oil, and then I'll do a little bit of lemon juice at the end, and I'll season them with salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, and then the red chili flakes towards the end. If you like a little bit of a kick to your shrimp, those are crucial. Then I cook a little box of pearled couscous according to the package instructions, and then I will either air fry some broccoli to go along with it, or if I was planning ahead, I cut up some asparagus that I tossed in the oven before I even started cooking the shrimp. And honestly, just dumping it all in a bowl feels so fresh. It feels very like Mediterranean inspired, and it's so easy to do. It takes less than 30 minutes to put it together. On kind of a similar note to that, in terms of the Mediterranean inspired foods, I love a Greek salad this time of year. Fun fact about me, actually, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast or ever because I'm always scared of being judged, but I hate salad. I don't eat leafy greens. It literally makes me feel like a rabbit. It tastes horrific to me, and I shout out everyone who puts all of these, boutique salad places in business because it just simply could not be me. However, if you remove the leafy greens from the equation, I am here for that. And I eat all other green vegetables. I just want to clarify. I eat asparagus, broccoli. I really like green beans. Like, I am not avoidant of vegetables. It really is just the leafy greens. Such a random thing not to like. Do you have any idea how left out I felt during the sweet green craze of 2018 living in New York City? It was like that was where everyone went for lunch and I couldn't go with them. I mean, I could go with them, but I couldn't really buy anything or partake in the culture of it all. And anyway, here I am, all by my lonesome, the girl who hates salad. It is what it is. If you think I'm crazy, feel free to message me. Or if you agree with me, if you secretly are a salad hater too and you've been scared to speak up, definitely message me because I need to know. There will be power in secret numbers. I won't out you. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Greek salad. Greek salad, I can get behind. The Greeks know what's up. So essentially, creating a salad with no leafy greens. So, what I typically put in a Greek salad will be cucumber, tomato, red onion, And then I like to put in some olives, chickpeas, and then top it with feta and a little bit of lemon juice and olive oil. That to me is so easy, so delicious. It just feels fresh. I mean, you're just eating a bowl of vegetables, which is good for you. I don't know. The feta does add a little something extra to it, if I do say so myself. And I'll also top it with salt and pepper if I didn't already say that. Okay, now this next one, not healthy, but delectable and always slaps as a summer appetizer, which is to do a little platter to cut up some fresh cherry tomatoes and then to put burrata in the middle and have a crispy, crunchy, crusty, soft bread to go with it and to drizzle olive oil over it. That's my ideal summer snack. That is also just like luxury to me. If I'm ever over at my parents' during the summer months, I feel like I request this every time I'm there. Just fully obsessed. And if you've never tried burrata, try burrata this summer. You will thank me later. Okay, and then another thing that I've been loving, and I'm giving you two options here. This like choose your own adventure is pollo asado, and I actually buy the pre-marinated pollo asado from Trader Joe's typically, but you could so easily do this yourself too if you'd prefer to do that. Get some chicken, get some Mexican spice, let it marinate, and then I would either turn it into a bowl, kind of like a Chipotle style bowl, or you could do fajitas, which I think is also fun. And this is another one of those meals that, again, is so easy. I heat up the chicken on the stovetop. And then if I'm making bowls, I also microwave one of the Trader Joe's jasmine rice bags, which takes 3 minutes to microwave. And it's enough rice to split as the base if I'm cooking for myself and Andrew. And then I also just throw in some pico de gallo, some guacamole, and also typically some roasted bell pepper. And when I make it for the bowls, I'll actually add the Trader Joe's everything but the elote Mexican seasoning to the bell peppers while I cook them, because then I feel like that gives them the correct flavor for this type of meal. And then on the other hand, if I'm doing the fajitas, I might put in with the bell peppers some onion too, and then mix that in with the pollo asado. And then have the little toppings like the pico de gallo and the guac on the side next to the fajitas. So that is a really fun and easy one to do at home too. And then for dessert, I feel like I mentioned these in a vlog recently or in a podcast. So sorry if you're listening to me talk about these for like the second week in a row, but the Trader Joe's Fruit Frenzy bars, that's like the main dessert that I want during the summer months, which is essentially a tricolor fruit pop. It has raspberry, lemon, and what's the third flavor? Strawberry, I'm almost positive, in a frozen little popsicle, and it's just delightful and delicious. That's on summer food. I want to talk about drinks as well. Number one summer drink, it's water. Straight up water. I don't want it fizzed. I don't want it flavored. I just want it cold and inside of my body. That is a big requirement for me. As you guys know, if you're watching on YouTube, holding up my Stanley, never far from, 30 to 40 ounces of water, preferably within an arm's reach. But I feel like just staying hydrated through the summer is so important. I feel like it's so easy to lose the water if you sweat. You need to remember to replenish. It's also so good for skin, digestion, all the things. Okay, if we're talking favorite summer caffeinated beverage, I was this close to putting iced chai on here, and I did have an iced chai this morning, but really the summer drink to me is matcha. And ever since I learned to make my own iced matcha lattes at home, I feel like an actual superstar. Like, how cool that I am able to make this at home. I don't need the help of a barista. I'm a strong, independent woman. Although, obviously, there are so many great places to get matcha in Hoboken and New York City. But basically, what I do is I purchase matcha, honestly, from Amazon, whatever brands look good for ceremonial grade matcha. Right now, I have one that comes in the little individual packets, so I don't even need to measure out the matcha, which sometimes you do need to do if you get it in a little jar. So this is pre-portioned, so I rip the little thing and I dump it inside. I add a quarter cup of warm water to it. I use my milk frother to froth it up. Then I add ice and I pour in almond milk. It is beyond easy. It's so easy that I can do it. Let's put it that way. And having this at home in place of a second hot coffee is something that I like doing because number one, with matcha, I do still get caffeinated, but I don't get as jittery. And of course, this is an easy iced beverage option too for the summer, which is always going to be more appealing to me, especially from like May through September, I would say. I was trying to fill a bunch of different categories here, like, water is its own category, caffeinated beverage. And then I was trying to think about a soft drink. And I want us to take a moment here to give lemonade the recognition that it deserves. I just feel like lately there have been a lot of occasions kind of in the middle of the day where I want like a fun drink, but I'm not really looking for an alcoholic beverage. And we'll get to margaritas in a minute. Don't you worry. That is the summer cocktail. Spoiler alert. But lemonade is so similar to a margarita, but it's so satisfying in its own way. So I have really been rediscovering my love of lemonade this summer. I don't really buy it or keep it in the house, but if I'm out and about walking around and I'm not looking for a caffeinated beverage, like if it's too late in the day for caffeine, if it's too early in the day for alcohol, lemonade is my new perfect middle ground. Like I'm back on lemonade. There have just been a couple of days lately where I've been like out to lunch or looking for something somewhere and been like, you know what? I choose lemonade. And I've not felt bad about that choice one single time. It's always hit so nicely. So shout out to lemonade. I should maybe try to even make like some homemade lemonade. Actually, strike that from the record. That might be too much work. I feel like Newman's Own is probably my favorite lemonade if I were to purchase from the store. Okay, on that note, summer cocktail preference margarita. So many different ways to do this. I prefer on the rocks and with salt, classic lime. However, you could sub in some grapefruit juice, make it a little bit more Paloma esque. You could do sugar instead of salt on the rim. Like there are so many different options. Choose your own adventure, margarita. Now, for beer, I feel like when I think of summer beers, I typically think of beers with citrusy or juicy flavors. And I feel like not that many girls are beer gals. And I say girls just generally because when I look at my podcast analytics, it tells me that a large majority of this audience, of this listenership, is women. So hello to all the girls. But if you have been looking to get more into beer, I do feel like the juicy, citrusy ones are the best gateway into beer compared to some of the more bitter or darker beers that you could try. So I did write down a few names and brands for a few different types of beers that I would suggest if you want to try a beer this summer. No pressure, obviously, but a couple that I wrote down when I was looking for the best citrusy or juicy beers online. One that came up over and over again was Kona Big Wave. This is a golden ale. Also, the Sam Adams Wicked Easy Lager. I feel like juicy and lager don't really go together in my head. So when I found this, I was like, new character unlocked. This is great. A classic favorite of mine, since I do really like IPAs typically, is the Sloop Juice Bomb IPA. This one is very juicy, very citrus coated. And then I don't even know where to get this anymore since I believe their Long Island City location closed or moved. But one of my favorite local breweries called Big Alice, I tried a beer of theirs a while ago called the Brunch Crusher, and this is actually a sour beer, but oh my God, I can't even explain it. And it is a great beer if you are getting, brunch or lunch on a weekend to go with, I don't know, pancakes, waffles. Actually, I feel like chicken and waffles, now that I'm thinking about it, is the ideal thing to pair with this. I don't even know where you would get it, but if you like a sour and juicy beer, this one is amazing. This is a beer podcast now. Could you imagine? The listenership numbers would flip flop like this. All of the men would invade and the girls would be gone. Although maybe not. You guys tell me if you are beer drinkers. Let me know. And then lastly, my favorite type of wine for this type of year is like a crisp, dry, ice cold white wine. And two favorite varieties that I wanted to mention are a Sancerre wine, which is French, or also a Sauvignon Blanc. There are lots of regions that produce this type of wine, but I wanted to specifically shout out the Marlborough range of New Zealand. I feel like every wine that I've tried from that region has been so delicious and honestly one of my perfect summer wines. And lastly, I just wanted to share some summer favorite things to do, things that I like to try to slot into my schedule each summer, no matter how busy things get or how fast it feels like the summer's flying by. These are things that I really like to take the time to try during the summer. And if you want a more in-depth summer bucket list that covers a bunch of different categories, I actually did a whole dedicated episode on that last year. So I can link that episode in the show notes if you're a newer listener and didn't get a chance to listen to that one. Okay, but just off the top of my head, I feel like visiting a museum is a great summer activity for a day where it's too hot to be outside. Like to be able to go duck inside some air conditioning, see art. that is always a great way to spend a summer day. If you're in New York City, I do have to recommend the Jane Austen exhibition that is currently at the Morgan Library. I believe it's still up for a few more weeks, but I actually did a little reel where I visited the Morgan and I took my mom with me. She is the one who named me after Jane Austen, so we had a great time exploring this exhibition together. And one other New York City recommendation, I'm tempted to save it for the fall, but I haven't ever been in the summer and I've heard it's wonderful, is to go to the cloisters because you can also walk through Fort Tryon Park up there too. So that is kind of a two-in-one activity if it's not so hot that you can't go and enjoy the outdoors. Another thing that I was thinking of for the summer bucket list is to try a new workout class. And obviously, I was telling you guys about my new workout schedule earlier in this episode, but I also today got an email about an influencer class that I'm kind of curious to check out. So I'm hoping it works with my schedule. It's like an event with a beauty brand, but it's to go to a workout class. So I'm hoping I'll be able to slot that in next week and report back. I also put get a summer manicure. I never actually do this. Like, I very rarely get designs, but even just getting like a fun color for the summer months or, getting like a fun summer lip gloss, just one little tiny beauty switch that can put you in the summer state of mind and change up your routine, I feel like is always a fun thing to add in. I would also say either have a little barbecue or picnic or some meal outside. My friends actually just hosted us at their home for a little housewarming barbecue this past weekend, and they made so much stuff on the grill. It was awesome. That always just feels so summer coded to me. And then one of the last things that I wanted to put on this list is to go to a concert, ideally outside. I feel like live music outside, whether you're just at a local bar or restaurant and they have someone performing on the patio, or whether you're actually able to go to an outdoor concert venue. It's just so fun to have an outdoor concert moment. It reminds me, obviously, of music festivals, which I have been to a couple of music festivals over the years, and that is obviously such a fun and specific experience too. And the summer concert that I am manifesting going to is Lady Gaga when she comes to New York, but I think I'm going to wait until the last second to see if ticket prices drop because I can be flexible, and I'm hoping I'll get a slightly better deal than what's listed on the resale websites now because, the Eras tour was my one and only concert splurge, I feel like, in my life, and I feel like I'm just not someone who wants to pay $500 every time they go to a concert. Is that really what it's come to? I'm not sure. This goes back to it being the summer of the crash out, I think. All right. Well, I would love to hear how all of your summers are going so far, what you've been up to, if you've done any of these things or have any questions about any of my favorites. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. If you're listening in real time, I really appreciate you being here. And I'll talk to you again next week.